live in a twilight world, there are no friends at dusk. So let's talk about this term, TikTok war. When they talk about TikTok war, they're talking about OSINT, open source intelligence. This is the idea that the intelligence information is coming from the general public via social media. This is the general public on the ground at the event, filming it, making TikTok videos, making Instagram videos, making Facebook whatevers, Twitter whatevers, okay? Although it's called TikTok war, they're kind of referring to all social media, okay? And it's an interesting name. I mean, I think there's a lot more to it than just that, okay? I think the truth is that as we're all kind of spellbound and mesmerized by the war in Ukraine, Russia, that back home here, there is a real TikTok war going on with the actual app itself, TikTok, destroying young minds, absolutely wrecking their brains, creating mad kind of behaviors, ruining their lives, really. Now, the first time I heard the term TikTok war was when the Blitzkrieg propaganda really started, which I feel was the 2nd of the 2nd, 2022, okay? That was the 33rd day of the year that they really went hard with the propaganda campaign, warning us that Russia is about to invade Ukraine. And doing the rounds was General H. Petraeus, David H. Petraeus, former director of the CIA, and I think he was a military general of the Afghanistan war, looking after the American operations, okay? So he's a big-time, lifetime actor when it comes to military warfare, okay? And yes, he is the one I heard say the term TikTok war. And I remember him saying, the Ukraine conflict is going to be like no other. It's going to be the first ever open-sourced information warfare. It's going to be a TikTok war. And my God, right he was. And, you know, when the former director of the CIA is going around saying these kind of things, you should probably pay attention. But that, for me, was one of the signals that this is something I should go and pay attention to. And it's one of them little key things that actually inspired me and motivated me to get my ass over to Kiev during the Battle of Kiev and see what's going on. But yeah, like I just said a second ago, to me it's a bit of a double bluff. Although, yeah, a TikTok war, an open sourced information situation was going on in Ukraine, really the TikTok war is happening everywhere across the world with these kind of apps coming through the Black Cube devices, absolutely destroying the lives of children and adults as well. Don't get me wrong, it's fucking up a lot of adults, but mainly children are born into it. Now, I have never been on TikTok, the app. I've come across TikTok videos, of course, where people have shown me them, you know, via Twitter or whatever, but I've never actually gone on the app. And yeah, from what I can gather, it's very, very toxic. But I will tell you this, and this is a personal story, and obviously for legal reasons, I'm not allowed to go into exact details, but in my Matrix job on the weekends where I do kind of mental health security work, a few months ago, it's called Bed Watch, okay, or Patient Watch. This is when people with challenging behavior end up in a regular hospital that isn't kind of kitted out or staffed out to deal with challenging behavior. That's when they call us in. I'm self-employed. I do a 12-hour shift. Yeah, they call us in when they need us, okay? So yeah, I'm doing Bed Watch, and I'm looking after a 15-year-old girl, and she's self-harming. So it's a bit of a different one because I'm mainly there to just, you know, make sure she's not breaking anything like of her belongings and turning it into a sharp object and cutting herself, okay? They'd removed all sharp objects. She was in a regular hospital in a children's ward. They gave her her own side room. Obviously, the staff, the nurses and the HCAs didn't have the time to look after her every hour of the day, every minute of the day. So they paid for us, the ward paid for us to go in and try and help out in which way we could. Obviously, being that she's a 15-year-old girl, there's not much we could do because, you know, she was mainly doing the self-harm in the toilet and no one was legally allowed at that point to go in the toilets with her. Especially not a male member of staff. Don't be ridiculous. I know that later on in the situation, they eventually got a female support worker to come in who did, you know, escort her into the toilet because her self-harm got that bad. But anyway, in the time I spent with her, you know, with all the patients I spend time with, the best option is to get along with them and you know, make the day as fun as possible and whatnot. And what I noticed from observation is, yeah, she had a TikTok. And the TikTok was rewarding her self-harming behavior because via TikTok, she had somehow got into a community of other self-harmers across the world and they were all sharing photos of themselves and their latest kind of injury they created, you know. And of course, they would all pat each other on the back and say, wow, that's really amazing. And they were getting rewarded for self-harming. And there you go. That's TikTok right there. And there was also mad stuff like they would... some would do this thing where they would throw their razor blades down the toilet and take a picture of it, you know. And this was a big thing in that community, like the day that they claim they're going to stop self-harming, and they put up the photo of all their razor blades down the toilet. Ridiculous, mad shit that, to me, is just insane. But it really is happening. The Black Cube is really getting into the minds of the masses, and yeah, when you got a young girl, you know, self-harming because the Black Cube is telling her to do it, we got big, big problems, man. Kind of reminds me of that film, Hellraiser, right? Where these Cenobites kind of, you know, they enjoy the pain and destruction caused to humans, you know. Your suffering will be legendary, is the catchphrase. So yeah, is the Ukraine war a massive distraction from the TikTok war that is being raged against the people right now? Possibly, man. I don't rule it out. You know, from that aspect, you know, we're living in kind of dark times. But yeah, she was hacking herself to pieces. And it's a shame, man, because she was a nice, young, charming girl, you know. From all the conversations we had, she was like big into her sports. You know, like a very sporty kind of girl that was doing quite well at school in the sports department of things. And yeah, and the dad would come in every day to visit, and he was just a broken man, isn't it? He was lost. Like, I remember like having conversations with him. And he was just like, he just didn't know he just didn't know what to do. Like, what do you do? He said he tried everything, and yeah, man, that fucking evil Black Cube has just got hold of someone. And I imagine this is going on worldwide. Eventually, like, her self-harming got so bad that they moved it on to mental health nurses. They had 4 of them with her at all times. And we got moved to basically guarding the door in case she ever got out. Because... it was getting to the point where she was trying to run and jump out of windows and stuff like that. She was on a ridiculous amount of antidepressants as well, like. And yeah, it's just sad to see, innit? Sad to see, and I'm quite. I don't know. I mean, I've got no kids, innit? So I don't know what it was like, what that must be like for a parent to have children going through that. But you know, very dark stuff. And yeah, eventually I think if I remember correctly, they broke the rules and they found her a space in an adult secure unit, which is obviously a facility that can deal with, you know, her behaviour a lot better, I guess. There was literally no places at the young person secure unit. It was fully booked. And she'd been in and out of them places for a long, long time, you know, for the last couple of years, I believe. And of course, they all make friends there, and that's another place they make friends. And then they join up their friends, all via TikTok and social media, man. So I'm not saying that this kind of behavior didn't exist before social media. I just think that it's at a new level now where it's facilitating it and it's rewarding that kind of behavior. I mean, I straight up asked her, like, you know, what's the main reason you do it? And she said, attention. It's the only time I get attention. Anyway, back to General David H. Petraeus, former director of the CIA. It's funny, man. At the time, this is around, the 2nd of the 2nd, 2022. I was doing delivery work on Saturdays, okay, because we were still in kind of a semi-lockdown from the scamdemic. And yeah, I'd taken on some cash in hand delivery work that I was doing every day at one point, and then I just knocked it back down to just Saturdays just because I wanted to help them out, because they've been so helpful. They were nice guys, It was a couple that run a pub, but they also ran a bakery and stuff, and I was doing their deliveries for the bakery and their pub on a Saturday, yeah. And anyway, this shitty old van, yeah, it had a broken radio. And what used to happen is every time you jump out of the van to go do a delivery, second you come back in, the radio would reset itself, and it'd always come on to BBC News Channel, BBC Radio 2, at the exact same volume, okay? So you turn it off, you turn it down, or you'd switch it to a more upbeat radio station. Second you got out, unloaded the delivery and got back in, it would go back, okay? Now, this particular weekend, it completely broke. I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't turn it over. I was forced to listen to BBC Radio 2. Now, for people outside of the UK, BBC Radio is and BBC in general, is the propaganda arm of the British government. It's a state-funded news network and television network. So it's unbearable to listen to. But it's almost like the gods, like divine intervention, the gods had forced this radio station to stay on purely so I could hear David H. Petraeus say, this war is going to be a TikTok war. We live in a twilight world. There are no friends at dusk.